Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Canadian Football Fanatics, and thank you for tuning in to the Canadian Football Fanatics Weekly Show. Folks, we have done it. The 111th Grey Cup is finally here. The long season is finally over, and we have our two participants in this week's biggest game of the season. As always, I'm joined by my right-hand man, Blake. Blake, I already see, is enjoying Grey Cup festivities over there in Vancouver. I'm excited to join him tomorrow. But Blake, before we do that, we got to record the show here tonight. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Yeah, we're here at the Shark Club right down the street from the stadium here. So just waiting on the rest of our CFL family again here, and excited to get this week kicked up. It's one that I look forward to all year long, and I'm glad that it's finally here.
Yes, indeed, buddy. It is finally here. Other than 3 minute drill, let's figure out how we got here. Recapping last week's matchups, that would be the East and West Division final. Ending former undisputed Grey Cup champions. As of now, they are eliminated. I can't wait to give Cliffy a jab tomorrow. Whenever I see him throughout this weekend, he can't have that claim to fame for the Montreal Alouettes no more, as they can't repeat as champions. The Toronto Argonauts knocked them off 30-28, and I think that was really spearheaded by 5 turnovers that I wouldn't necessarily say that Toronto caused themselves, but I think a lot of bad bounces, some very the Kadeem Carey one I'm thinking of, not excuse me, Kadeem Carey, Walter Fletcher, the one that was swing pass out of the backfield, kind of went into his hands. He ends up bobbling, goes right into the Toronto defender's hands, and they're able to get momentum right away. And it really just didn't seem like Montreal was getting the bounces at all that day, and ultimately Toronto was able to pull it out. And obviously, as if anybody that's tuning in is probably well aware by now that Chad Kelly obviously ended up leaving that game with sustained a broken ankle, I believe is what it's been officially announced as, a broken leg in the third quarter of that game. And I think at that point was maybe the first sign of maybe hope or life. I don't want to maybe phrase that wrongly, talking about an injury of a specific player. But, I think maybe a lot of from CFL fans' perspective probably thought, things are going to be a little bit, interesting here with 1 quarter to go. It was a close game, and Toronto was without their starting quarterback, and Toronto was able to pull it out. And I think just adds even more to the resume of how much of a good team that they are, opposed to just based off one player, a few star players. I think they're overall really well built, and a team that well deserved to get to this point. So the Toronto Argonauts were the first team to punch their ticket to the 111th Grey Cup. They knew they were able to sit back, watch the West Final, and wait to see who they were going to be able to play. And speaking about that West Final, obviously, as you were well aware, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. We do, buddy. Unfortunately, I'm sure it's going to be a tough week having to talk about them at points for you. But I think that will be the fun in it is you rooting against them this week, and being an Argos fan for the week. I know you'll fit right in with some of the friends that you have, Elliot, around the Argos Nation and whatnot. So I think it'll be a fun week. Although I know it is a little bit dreaded for you having to talk about the Blue Bombers back once again. And but you're honestly not alone. I think it's probably a little bit of CFL fatigue of the Bombers, of a lot of fan bases outside of Winnipeg being sick and tired of seeing them in the Grey Cup now. But obviously they were able to get it done. And I think really led by Zach Collaros, Kenny Lawler started fast and really started strong, and showed that they still are, I think, the best quarterback receiver combo in the CFL. They really I don't want to say flip the switch, but I think people started to forget a little bit about what they were capable of, and they showcased themselves very well. Zach Collaros, over 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. Kenny Lawler catching 3 of those. He almost nearing 200 receiving yards on the afternoon there. Had a dominant performance. I don't know how many catches he finished with. I don't want to say too many, but big plays and really timely big plays that really, the start of the game took momentum late in the game. Just Kenny Lawler with some really, you felt his presence after that game, and I think it's going to be an interesting one to see how he's able to make himself, felt and known in a Grey Cup atmosphere when teams are, you could argue that Saskatchewan knew where the ball was going, but you'd think Toronto is going to be looking to stop him before anybody else, and obviously that's in the receiving core. Bridge starts probably with Brady, but that will conclude, buddy, our 3-minute drill one last time this season. We know who's playing in the big game now. Next week, obviously, we will be back for a weekly show, but we'll be recapping. We won't have, anything else to really mostly talk about other than just the weekend and whatnot. But Blake, as I always, go back to you, buddy. Hopefully, you're able to hear you all good. I know you're at the Sharks Club, but what are your maybe a few takeaways from the West and East final games last week?
Yeah, no, definitely, as much as I hate to admit it, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, I was the first one to dump on their grave, if you will, at the beginning of the season, but they deserve to be where they are for the 5th year in a row. Like I guess they kind of dug the odds and flipped the switch, if you will. Went from 2-6, they lost one game, I think it was, the rest of the year. To these same Toronto Argonauts, so we'll see what happens on Sunday. But they lost one game the rest of the year. And to answer your earlier question, Kenny Lawler made 4 catches on Sunday. 3 of them went for touchdown. So he had just one catch that wasn't for touchdown.
I believe we're having a little technical issues with Blake. Hopefully, we're able to hear him all good. Blake, I'd recommend maybe just mute yourself for a second, buddy, and I'll bring in Coach. Coach, thanks for joining us as always, brother. How you doing?
I'm good, brother. Just driving right now. What's going on with everybody?
Oh, you know how it is, man. Grey Cup week, so we're excited to talk some ball, talk about all what's going on, and the big game, obviously this Sunday. But Coach, obviously it didn't work out for your Riders, but I know CFL lover that you are. A lot of guys that you're rooting for on both sides of Toronto and Winnipeg. Just give us your thoughts on the Riders and their run and everything they're able to accomplish this year, though.
Well, first off, I just want to say hats off to Coach Mason and the fellows, man. There's nothing to hang your heads about, number one. To be a first-year head coach and make it to the West Final and really to not really get blown out like people thought we would. I can accept that. There's room for improvement. There's room to grow. I didn't really understand why a lot of people were complaining about we need to get rid of the staff. We need to get rid of Coach Mays. Henderson was a liability and all this stuff. Man, it's not that deep. It's not. Let's just cool the brakes and take a second to look at the positives and see that, hey, for 2 straight years, we were nowhere near the conversation of being in the West Final, or let alone one step away from the Grey Cup. So take what you can get, learn from it, grow. It's nothing wrong with losing to greatness. And I'll say that. We lost to a team that had championship experience. Nothing you can really do about that. A whole team. And it's just what it is. So, hey, next year, we're going to see what happens.
Coach, you on that? You got that new iPhone 16? The camera quality right now is great.
Maybe I do, maybe I don't.
All jokes aside, let's bring in the 4th member of our team, as always, Shane Ryan, sporting the Bombers gear. Shane, thanks for joining us, buddy. How you doing?
Shane, you haven't even talked yet, and you're already...
You can't talk shit if you ain't got good quality.
You're starting off on the wrong foot with Blake. Blake's mad with you.
I don't have a Toronto jersey. I don't know what to tell you.
So Shane, again, how many teams do you have again?
I think I'm only missing Toronto and Montreal. I got Hamilton. I got 2 Hamilton. I got the Rough Rider, the Renegades, the Rough Riders, and the Red Blacks. Got an Edmonton, BC, 2 BCs actually.
Attaboy.
And the Saskatchewan. So I'm only missing, and obviously Winnipeg. So I'm only missing Toronto and Montreal.
I've got to add to it, and I know you.
I might have to Might
He's
have
got
to
a
hit
bit of
up
Royal Retro collabs as
Royal
well, I know.
Retros. Get
Yeah.
get some of those USA expansion teams. But I also didn't know you guys were going to start so early. I would have hopped on earlier than 9 o'clock.
All good, all good. Blake's just out at Shark Club. I wanted to kind of hopefully get him on as much as possible if he can hear us. Can you hear us okay, Blake?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Kind of. Your
Kinda.
connection's kind of grumpy.
We'll just keep going, buddy. And if you can tag in here and there, great.
Make
If
sure you
not,
mute yourself.
just keep looking pretty like you always do. I know that's not hard for you. Anyway, Shane, as I was asking Coach, you didn't necessarily have any dogs in the fight last week, but what were your thoughts on the East and West final?
Yeah, I mean, it was good games on both sides of the division, like on the league. I think up until, halfway through kind of that Saskatchewan-Winnipeg game, it was, my opinion, it was kind of still a toss-up with how potent that running game was looking. But, I mean, Kenny Lawler went big, went off. I think he had, 3 touchdowns, like 100 and, I think he was pushing 175 yards, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So Kenny Lawler showed up. That offensive line did really well against that solid defensive front. But overall, I think going into the playoffs, the best 2 teams are in the Grey Cup.
Yeah, I think it's really well said.
I still hate the fact that Montreal wasn't truly healthy. I think that definitely played a factor in some of it. But overall, I think it's the best 2 teams going into the Grey Cup heading into the playoffs.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing about football is, it's all about kind of timing and, I think you could argue Montreal was, not argue, they were, the best team through, the first 10, 11 weeks there. And unfortunately, injuries just come at the wrong time and probably not the most true, accurate description or showing of what they're capable of. But I think also sometimes the bounces don't go your way. And we saw that with the 6 turnovers. I think they surrendered with the 4 fumbles, 2 interceptions. Sometimes that oddly shaped egg ball just kind of bounces the opposite way, and it just the bounces don't go your way. The breaks in your way that day, and I think it was just early on. It kind of showed in that game that the ball wasn't bouncing Montreal's favor. And although I kind of agree with you that maybe late it still wasn't over, especially with the Chad Kelly going out and stuff like that. But it just felt like there was something that was keeping Montreal from kind of breaking through that barrier of kind of getting back to form. But it's, I guess I was gonna say it's kind of nice getting a new team, but Toronto going back already in a rematch 2 years ago, it's not really. Go ahead, Blake. Though, if we're able to hear you.
It was 5 turnovers on the day, right, for Montreal?
I thought it was 6.
6.
Was it 6?
4.
Yeah, either way, that's very un-Montreal like for the rest of the season.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just a killer turnovers. I think it's kind of a very easy thing to see. And I guess let's get into it, boys, and let's start with some news and notes. We had Shane was able to remind us earlier in the week about Randy Ambrosie's State of the League. Took place Tuesday morning. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch it. I believe like the other 3. I don't know if Shane, you were able to watch it as well, but I was able to catch 3 downs kind of recap of it and kind of their thoughts and opinions on it. And something that kind of I know you guys are familiar with him. The Markcast on social media and stuff like that. And I was curious to kind of get Coach's opinion on. I know he was pretty vocal on the CFL Plus situation and stuff like that. And I was curious on Coach, how your CFL kind of Plus experience has been, and then how do you think maybe the league can kind of make it better?
It was an up and down one. It was better than what it was last year. There were some games that were talking about, it's not in your region. It was like a BC game, and I was like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, it's in my region. Or it used to be where if you had TSN, you could watch it. Well, TSN made it impossible because you had to be in a province to be able to do it. So I think they're heading in the right direction. I hope they don't try to make it where you have to pay. I think you keep it for the next season, keep it free, and then if you want to try to make a profit off it, if it's good viewership, I can understand that, but not yet. Don't get too crazy with it.
Oh, you're muted.
I thought.
Hey, it's not me. It's not me this time.
Thanks, buddy. I think it could be a key.
The over-under can still hit.
I can't really clearly understand Blake, but I will
Neither
laugh.
can I.
I think CFL Plus is a very key thing though for like the Mark Cass was mentioning of like how there isn't an app and how there's not really access to watching the CFL TV wise. Nobody's ever gonna like stumble across a CFL game in the States, and there's not really there's not really any sort of promotion or anything like that. So I think it's hard to find number one. So I think that's probably job number one is to promote it and kind of showcase it out there that people can see CFL games down south and stuff like that, and have it up on social media, Instagram platforms, Twitter platforms too. Football fans that they see ads that come across their timelines and whatnot. But Shane, I saw you kind of react a little bit when we brought up CFL Plus. What are your thoughts? Because I know, like for us, right? We always talk. We kind of are very vocal going back to like combine season, where I think they could do, we appreciate what they do, but I think they could do even more to like amplify that weekend and cover it and give us even more access and having their own platform and calling it like and having CFL Plus. I feel like they underutilize it as of now. But what are your thoughts kind of on I don't know if you were able to watch the State of the League or whatnot, but just the CFL Plus kind of experience.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the CFL, the State of the League. It was fun. It was interesting. In terms of like CFL Plus, is like there's only so much they're able to do until their new negotiation windows up, right? Because they have their deal with CBS and TSN until 2026. I think the model they need to look at is CBL Plus, CBL TV, where there's a free version where you get to watch the games, and then there's a paid version which you get like a bunch of exclusive content. It's basically like, oh, here's like a bunch of behind the scenes look, stuff like that. And that's where CFL Plus needs to get to. I think at this point, complaining about the marketability of CFL Plus in its second year of existence in this sense, is, I don't know. I think it's just finding something to be upset about and frustrated about. And I've talked about it at length about the accessibility needs to be better within the CFL, but that's going to come with time, right? Like you can't throw a crap ton of money at something and expect it to work right away. You have to start at a foundation. You have to build it from the ground up. CFL is doing it. They need to continue to improve it. I don't disagree with what he said, but I think the argument that CFL Plus is the argument that he was making against CFL Plus working isn't the argument that I think the league is looking at.
Yeah, I hear you on definitely giving it some more time. I think just maybe a little bit of concern of like how it's not really the greatest marketing up here as well, especially with like TSN being the only kind of broadcast. I know CTV has kind of been a little bit more involved this year, but just hoping I guess that's kind of maybe a little bit more as time goes on that it starts to catch on more and more, and hopefully it's kind of shown there a little bit more. It's kind of just all my. I know Mark Cass was a little bit more vocal on kind of not seeing much on in terms of that, but any other thoughts, I guess, on the league? I know there was kind of like some thoughts on expansion. Expansions kind of feel like such a beating your head on a kind of. It's just like the same kind of talk over and over again. The same Atlantic Canada, Quebec City. They asked about obviously American expansion, and that was kind of turned away, which maybe is a little bit interesting. I guess we could talk about that a little bit, but I feel like just the conversation is such like a until we see otherwise, like we're just kind of talking about the same situation over and over again.
The one thing that I'm interested about is the fact that he dropped that they've had conversations about having a game in Windsor, and like kind of hinting at the fact that like yes, a 10th team in Halifax or Atlantic Canada is kind of the goal, but maybe a team in Victoria or a team in Windsor, like kind of hinting that yes, you want to go coast to coast, so Atlantic Canada is kind of the dream, but if there's an ownership group that pops up and wants to put a team in Windsor, it doesn't sound like they're against small markets or smaller markets. So I'm intrigued to see where that might lead and if that's going to lead to a 10th team. Because, ideally, a 10th team in Ontario, if you look at it from a travel situation, it's as marketable as you can to an American team without having to redo the rules. Because that was mentioned by Ambrosi, was that if you go into the States, you would have the ratio rules wouldn't apply again, and you would basically have one division or one team working with one set of rules and the other 9 teams working with another set. But if you go to a team in Windsor, you're right across the border. Michigan loves their football. That's as close as you're going to get to the States right now, is unless you decide to drop the ratio.
Yeah, it would be interesting. Coach, any thoughts on kind of the expansion situation?
You fucking idiot! Go! Fucking go! Sorry.
Wow, we got road rage on the show going.
What's going on right now? They got construction. But no, I think right now that thing has been beaten into the ground. I would like to see another team up there, whether it's up there in the Atlantic or if it's up there in Ontario, whether it's Victoria. I agree with Shane. I don't know. It's such a murky situation that I'll believe it when I see it. That's kind of where I'm at right now. We talk about it, but is it really going to get done? Because it seems like the league is okay with being that mom and pop thing, but at some point you got to expand from mom and pop to actually, we are a professional league. You have to represent yourself in that way. So if expansion is the way to go, great. If not, give it time and we'll see.
Yeah, I think for them the big thing was ownership, right? You have stable ownership in Montreal. Hopefully Edmonton, it's too early to tell, and obviously BC. That's an easier push and an easier sell to potential owners. Like, hey, you had 3 new ownerships come in over the last 3 years. They've all seen, and again, maybe expansion isn't until after the new media deal, because that gives Edmonton some time to have a private book that you can utilize to potential owners. Like, hey, these 3 new owners, here's all their profits since becoming owners. Like, this is where they're seeing success. These are their dollar values, their valuations, their costs, all that, to make it more enticing for a potential owner to jump into the league and willing to pay the expansion fee that you're going to want, get the stadium built and whatnot.
Did you also, I guess, any thoughts on the conversation of the revenue? Obviously, he mentioned that I believe he kind of set a goal to, hopefully double league revenue before his time was over as commissioner. I think he admitted that it hasn't happened. And then, I think we talked about this last week with COVID, I think having a very big dark cloud over this whole situation. I think things would definitely be a little bit different, but with I think team revenues also have been flat or something like that he mentioned as well. But I think the caveat here is to add context so that the COVID kind of putting a damper into things. But what were your thoughts on just that conversation as well, Shane?
Yeah, I know he mentioned that they're starting to see progress. Gate revenue was up this year. They're starting to see the needle move. But I think you can't ignore COVID. The effect that COVID had on the CFL, it was about to start up, right? It happened in mid-March. They're planning on training camp. They're planning on the draft. Everything was in motion to start in mid-May. Expecting a turnaround in 2 months or 3 months is, unrealistic, right? It's not like the NFL where you have until August to really kind of set a schedule. There, you don't have that type of turnaround time if you still want to Grey Cup in November. But COVID impacted the CFL. You can't ignore it. You can't ignore the impact it did. But he mentioned that the league is in a better spot now than it was when he took over in 2017. And that is 100% true. Like you can have your disagreements with how he's handled things, the CFL 2.0, how he handled COVID, the Lemon Kelly situation. You can dislike him as a commissioner, but you cannot sit here with a straight face and say that the league is not in a better spot than it was in 2017. Is he the guy that can take it another 10 years? Probably not. Maybe he's capped out. We'll see, what the next commissioner does and where it takes it. But Mark Cohen put it in a really good spot. Orridge, he was only there for 2 years, so it's kind of really hard to see what he could have done or how the league could have been affected. But there's been growth over his 7 years. And I'm interested to see how the next commissioner steps up, who that next commissioner is, and how they continue to improve. My thing, and it's kind of a question to everyone, is that do you care if the next commissioner is Canadian or not?
I don't think that matters for me personally, but that's just me.
Yeah, I don't care if they're. I just want the best commissioner. Like, it doesn't matter whether it's Canadian or American.
I'm not sweating it. I mean,
Oh, coach! Oh, coach!
Finally bites coach.
No doubt, coach. Come on. But anyways, Shane, has there been any other names kind of been thrown into the hat or even mentioned in that conversation quite yet?
No, not that I've heard.
Yeah.
Again, I know people have joked about Farhan.
Farhan.
One thing I'm very interested in is if they look at Sully, if he goes over from CFLPA president over to the CFL side and helps bring that bridge. I don't think he has any interest in it. He sounds very committed to the CFLPA. But I'm curious on if they don't at least talk to him. I think you're going to look at guys who have had commissioner experience. So you're looking at the Jim Mullen, the Mike Morreale type people. I don't think they're going to look at people who are just business people. They're going to look at people who have worked in sports, worked in the sports world, who understand how the sporting side works. I think Morale should be the front runner because he was CFLPA president. So if I had a vote, I would 100% be all over Morale. Now, I don't know if he want to leave the CBL. He's doing a lot of good. The CBL is on the rise. Would he want to go? I don't know. But I think they're going to start looking at not just business people, but people who've been in the sports business, who've worked in this situation before. And also on a note of the CFL commissioners, Mark Cohen is now the president and chair of the new Women's Canadian Soccer League. He announced it on Twitter a couple of days ago. So some CFL news there.
Interesting. CFL times indoor women's soccer. Is that what you said?
It's just it's the women's professional league. So it's gonna be the women's version of the CPL.
Sweet. So boys, there is obviously we're going to talk about some more news and notes and stuff like that, but is there any other like stuff that you guys want to bring up other than, because it'll mostly kind of be some like Grey Cup stuff and a couple other things I have, but is there
PJ
anything
Walker.
Yep, PJ Walker did sign in Calgary officially.
2-year deal.
Coach, are you happy about that?
I'm happy as hell.
I just like the commitment. I just really like the commitment that he showed to the CFL, signing for 2 years.
And I know you were kind of talking about it on Twitter, Shane, but like that obviously probably, secure, it gives them some sort of security, but I would imagine they're also going to bring in some sort of competition to kind of not just hand him the job and make sure that he earns it the right way, kind of thing. Do you see that as a possibility too?
Yeah, Farhan mentioned that like even though he signed for 2 years, that he doesn't expect them to be out. I think he's mentioned, if I remember correctly, he mentioned that he still believes that they'll be in on Vernon Adams. And I wouldn't be shocked if that's the case. I think if you look at the quarterback landscape, PJ Walker is the only quarterback under contract next year, so they need to do something.
And I believe, I don't know if I saw it correctly, but I think like part of his contract as well is like there's some incentives in there as well for him.
Yeah, it's like 173K base money over the 2 years, like 113K in incentives, I think, something like that.
Interesting.
But I think the one thing that I'm curious on your guys' thoughts is outside of VA, obviously Trey Ford, McLeod Bethel Thompson, are going to be guys to look at. Montreal's in a very, and we haven't really talked about it, but Montreal's in a very interesting situation with Davis Alexander and Cody Fajardo, with Alexander being a pending free agent. Is he someone that gets tossed in the name in Calgary or Saskatchewan, depending on what happens with Trevor Harris or Winnipeg?
I think that would be a great combination because you kind of have two guys that like the best dog kind of comes out of this fight, and whoever kind of wins, you can throw both of them to the wolves a little bit, and whoever comes out on top basically is kind of your guy a little bit. And I think would be an interesting one, but I'm also interested to know like does Montreal maybe kind of get a little bit like not wanting to move off Cody too quick, but maybe they bring back Davis on like a Davis wants to kind of stay there a little bit as well. But obviously
there
everyone
was an
wants to be a starting
article.
quarterback at some point.
Yeah, and there
So
was an article on Three Down Nation that mentioned that like they're unsure if it's going to work, if the dynamic is going to work. Like, which is why I mentioned it, because like you look at the quarterbacks available, like Caleb Evans is going to be recovering from a knee injury. You're going to have Mazzoli, Trevor Harris, and then obviously VA, and then McLeod Bethel Thompson, Trey Ford, Schultz. Um, Davis Alexander's only 26. Very interesting to see what happens this offseason with the quarterbacks.
I agree, and I think a name that we didn't mention, I think it's maybe a little bit of fan conversation, probably more so than anything, but Bo Levi Mitchell, I think, probably throws a huge wrench into things if he makes it known that he doesn't want to return to Hamilton, I think.
Well, that's up to Scott. That's up to Milanovic. It sounds like. What's up, Blake?
I can't hear.
I didn't say anything.
Okay. I don't know. It sounds like he wants to stay.
And obviously he's at Grey Cup doing some like media stuff once again.
Yeah. But obviously, that's a Scott Milanovic choice if he wants him back. But I think also, Zach Caleros is another guy that could throw a wrench into things if he decides to retire. If he looks at it as like, hey, I'm gonna be 37.
What else do I have to do?
What else do I have to do? I've won 3 Grey Cups. I've been to 6, 5 in a row. Like, what else do I have to prove? Do I just walk away from my last year of my contract? That could throw a wrinkle in things too.
Like obviously the concussion history and whatnot, and like you can't guarantee anymore, 100% injury that it's you're gonna get injured at some point, and he's obviously been banged up playing the position. You're gonna get banged up. So maybe he makes the decision to leave on top, but as you said, still a year under contract as well. So, little quarterback talk. Any other news and notes before we kind of move on into a little bit of more Grey Cup, some stuff to talk about?
Oh yeah, Baron Miles is out of
right
in Ottawa,
and I know you were quick to basically fill that position.
I mean, I unfortunately Burke has created a reputation on his connections with Hamilton. We saw it with Tommy Condell. We've seen it with Jeremiah Mazzoli and Addison and Ackland and Maldine. Like the CFL is full of it, right? Like Moss is the same way. Mace was the same way. It's all about you want people that you trust and and you've worked with before. Like that's just how it works. Are there other guys? I know there's a lot of Red Blacks fans who keeps putting out Benavides' name in the ring, even though they walked away from him in replacement of Baron Miles. But I think Washington unfortunately makes the most sense given the history with Burke. And we'll see. I think that's something they want to get done before Christmas, but won't happen until after the Grey Cup. But yeah, I think Washington might be the guy who comes in for Baron Miles.
And what were your like? Were you surprised by that decision? Did you kind of see it coming just based on kind of how the season ended a little bit, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only person that was safe, like, there was only two coaches that were safe, and that was Condell and Dice. I thought everyone else was kind of open for replacement. I'm shocked it was so quick, but with how especially the secondary played, like the secondary just never seemed to perform well enough. And I mean,
And
you could look,
Baron Miles, obviously former defensive back, safety.
yeah, and like you can blame the injuries, you can do that, you can give them the excuses, but at the end of the day, you're a DC. You are responsible for how the defense plays. Blown coverages are responsible on you. And that's kind of the situation. And I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like the fact that this is I think the Red Blacks fifth or sixth DC in franchise history. Like we've had more DCs than OC and than head coaches, and like the continuity and like the short leashes that coaches have, it always just bothers me. Like it's always like if you don't do it this year, you're fired. Like you have a 2-year leash, you have a 2-year shelf life. If you don't do it in 2 years, you're gone, and it bothers me.
And I feel like it kind of causes you to always look over your shoulder for the next DC that's maybe coming in or whatnot, and you kind of maybe aren't your true self. But um, lastly, before we get into more some Grey Cup stuff, more so of a shout out, more so than news and notes here. But I don't know if you guys are familiar with Coach Lapo's channel at all, his YouTube
Oh,
channel.
I
But
love his channel.
yeah, he put out some phenomenal some videos this weekend breaking down like the Bombers offense versus Saskatchewan's defense, and then the Bombers defense versus Saskatchewan's offense, and then vice versa for the East final as well. He put together like I think there were like 15, 20-minute videos of each of the Toronto Argonauts offense going against the Montreal defense, and then vice versa, the defense, Toronto's defense going against Montreal's offense, and was just phenomenal stuff, man. Like we need more of that kind of stuff in the NFL. It's fairly available with like I believe it's available on the NFL website. If you can get access to their all 22 and film and whatnot, and I think it's at like $100 and something USD. You can subscribe to that and get access to that of like all 32 teams watching the coaches cut, and having kind of Lapo break that down and really like go through the X's and O's is phenomenal stuff that I think is needs to be more. He needs to be blown up. His YouTube channel is kind of just why I wanted to talk about it a little bit, and hopefully anybody that's tuning in that's maybe not aware is going to be able to take a look at that. And it like he's been doing it all year long, and I think like TSN, I don't know why they have some of the graphics of when they run the coaches playbook or whatever of the TSN graphics. I don't know why we don't have that on like half an hour before the pregame show or even half an hour before games of like some really educational X and O's content that you can kind of collaborate with the CFL and give that access to like that coaches cut versus like the broadcast copy where you're getting like the quarterback, the down lineman, and you're really not fully like knowing what's happening in the secondary and downfield and whatnot. And seeing it that way is just phenomenal. You can kind of get an understanding like quarterback play as well, and like you might necessarily, see him look right and come back left and kind of open up those windows with his eyes and whatnot. And I think it's just a great tool to kind of educate CFL fans and just even CFL fans that are like interested in kind of hearing and learning more about kind of like that side of things. But Shane, obviously you're familiar with a little bit and kind of check it out.
He lives in Ottawa still. Like his son plays for the Bell Warriors. Plays in Akafa, but yeah, no, his YouTube channel. So I started watching it. I haven't been able to watch a lot of it recently, but I started watching it when he started doing it like He was going through playbooks. Like, he would have his old playbooks out. He was talking about concepts and stuff like that. It is a fantastic channel for people who are knowledgeable and want to expand their knowledge. People who are just getting into the sport and want to expand their knowledge. Like, it is just a great channel to watch if you're looking to learn more about the CFL game. Like, if you're an American or if you're a Canadian who's learning the game, he is the perfect channel to listen to and watch to kind of learn the ins and outs of the CFL game. My one thing with LaPolice is that I just wish he would stay either at TSN, because he's great with TSN, or stay as an offensive coordinator. He should never be a head coach again. I respect him. He's a great person. He is an offensive mind. He should just focus on the offensive side of the ball. Don't worry about being a head coach, or just stick with TSN, stick with the content, and be that type of person. Like, just I hope for him he never is on the sideline as a head coach in the CFL.
So, some coaches just aren't meant to be head coaches, and that's
Exactly.
all. That's all good. But one more shout out to Coach Lapo. I believe it's Coach at Coach Lapo on YouTube. Excuse me. Just phenomenal stuff. Like I said, go subscribe to him. I think he's only like 1,500 subscribers or something like that. He should be a lot more. For the content he's putting out there. Coach, are you familiar with his channel at all or no?
Yes, I love his channel. I love what he's doing. I'm learning more and more. X's and O's wise, I got all 23 cut up. So watching him and then learning, but then going back and watching it myself with all the film that I got, it helps so much as far as scouting and understanding why they do certain things and how they do certain things and when they're in certain situations. So it's really good that the league needs more of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got access to all that stuff now with your special partnership.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, baby.
He's a king amongst peasants right now.
No kidding. Driving in his car. You should have a driver, no?
Shit. Only driver I'll have is my kids.
He is the driver.
Anyway, yeah, no kidding. Anyways, boys, I think we can kind of get into a Grey Cup focus now. The boys will be coming into town. You guys both get into town tomorrow, I believe, right?
I come into town Friday morning. I'm in town at like 7:30, 8 a.m. time.
Sweet. And Coach,
I'm trying to. My mom flies in at 1:15, and we're gonna get there probably around 5.
Awesome. Can't wait to see the boys. First and foremost, obviously, safe travels, boys. What are you guys looking forward to, man? Shane, I believe your first time to Vancouver, first time out west.
Yeah, first time out west.
The zip line.
I'm not doing the zip line. That's how I'm gonna die.
Wow. Taking the easy way out.
Shane.
That's the first place I'm going. No joke.
Oh, I know this is zip line.
I'm getting off the ferry. I'm going straight to the zip line.
Nope. No, thank you. I am too big. I am too large. I am not going on the zip line. I want to return home on Monday. Okay. And I want to return alive.
But you and I can do it.
I don't know. Honestly, we haven't really had a chance to plan on our day. I mean, yeah, we leave. It's a 4.5 hour flight. We leave 6 a.m. our like Ottawa time. It's saying that we're arriving like around 8.
So that's kind of funny. Hey, it's a 4-hour flight, but like it'll only be 2 hours technically.
Yeah. So we're leaving.
You might want to sneak a nap in then maybe when you get here.
Oh yeah. So we're heading to the airport around 3:30. We're gonna be at the airport around like 4:15. Fly out at 6 a.m. I'm not like, again, the airport to the hotel is like a 30-minute commute. So the check-in is until 4 p.m. though, which is unfortunate, but I might try to see if we can get an early check-in. Fingers crossed. But I think our plan is then Team HQ. Have you guys seen the combine thing that they're doing?
I've seen a picture of it. I don't believe I've seen the full thing.
We should. I think we're we're going to I know we're going to be at the convention center on the Saturday for most of the day, so I'm 100% wanting to try that because
100%.
it's going to be so much fun. But yeah, I think I'm not really sure. I know like the Calgary pancake, like the Calgary Stampeders breakfast thing, is one of our things that we're gonna do.
You're bringing out the fam? Obviously, it sounds like.
No, it's just me and the father-in-law.
Oh, nice, man. Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Boys
it's
trip.
it's his 42nd or something. He's been going since like the late 70s, early 80s.
Holy shit, that's cool.
Yeah, if you ever seen it, they're him and his best friend are kind of known. They're the jumpsuit guys. They have like basically mechanic jumpsuits, and they're just patches of all the Grey Cups they've been to.
That's sweet.
So, yeah, Team HQ on Friday night and probably Saturday night. Spirit of Edmonton is going to be one of the trips. I know that. But yeah, nothing else. I think for the most part.
Some good food, buddy. Be prepared for that, obviously.
Hopefully.
Oh, hopefully. Don't worry.
I hope it's better than Hamilton. That's for sure. Oh,
Blake, tell him some spots. No, I'm just we'll take them.
Send me a list.
Or first of all, actually, Blake, how many Grey Cups have you been? I was trying to talk to Shane about it.
9 Grey Cups now. This is my 9th.
9th. Okay.
9. So he was close to 10. I oversold a little bit, but I knew he was close to 10.
I got 7 more. I got 7 more to catch up.
Coach, what are you looking forward to do? Obviously, you're gonna have the little ones with you and whatnot. Your mom as well. Are you looking forward to doing anything as well when you get up here?
Well, they're gonna have fucking fun. They're the ones that get to go do all the fun stuff. I gotta work, so I gotta all my fun stuff is gonna be just seeing them happy.
That's it.
Saturday I'm doing the walkthrough, do some interviews. I'm interviewing Brian Scott, Nick Arbuckle, a few Winnipeg players. Going to the CFL Players HQ thing. I got a bunch of shit that I gotta do. So while they having fun, Dad's gonna be working.
Coach acting like his work is fucking not any fun. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna be talking to Nick Arbuckle, not fun, Brian. Well, I'll be sure to remind him, Coach, so you're like, oh no, not fun.
Are you gonna talk to Logan to Stanley Bryant?
I'm gonna try. I've reached out to him. We're trying to set something up. I'm doing Tony Jones. I'm meeting with him. Obviously, Willie. I want to interview Wayne McManus. Just get all the players that I know I've talked with, get some interviews with them, and then I really want to just. I'm having my son with me the whole time. He's he's a daddy's boy, so he's gonna be with me on the field. So I want to make sure he has a fun time. My daughter, I just gotta keep all these old head football players, the Hall of Famers, away from my mama. That's all. Don't be buying my mama to all you. I respect you, Hall of Famers, all that. But if any of y'all buy my mama a drink, if you see this, I'm gonna take you out.
Well, there's the protective son coming in.
I already told her. I said if they ask you for a drink or to dance,
you say yes.
No.
Let her have biting off kneecaps.
Fuck it, I'm going for Achilles tendons.
Anyways, boys, I guess we should maybe talk a little bit about the big game. It's been about 45 minutes.
49.
Winnipeg 49 to be exact. Winnipeg's fifth straight time. Toronto 2 in 3 years. Obviously, the big elephant in the room is no Chad Kelly and one Nick Arbuckle will be up for the Argos. Coach, start with you. Let's just start from that perspective. Obviously, it's been going to be talked about all week, and it has been already. But what are your thoughts on the Argos having to go in? And obviously, we saw, I think it's the biggest Grey Cup line ever. I think it was 10.5 points, if I'm not mistaken. What are your thoughts on that whole situation with the Argos having to go in with Nick Arbuckle as their starting quarterback?
Oof. It's unfortunate what happened to Chad. I was watching the game, and to see him try to reset that thing,
Oof.
Boy, you tough. But I think with Arbuckle, I think they're going to make the game plan pretty simple for him. I think they're not going to try to overcomplicate. They might throw a couple trick things here and there to kind of throw off Winnipeg's defense. But as far as Winnipeg goes, man, their efficiency, they were efficient against the Riders. So if Toronto can mess up their rhythm and timing, but also I think the one key that they need to do for Toronto's purpose, their defense, is that 5-man pressure that they send is deadly. Whether they mix it up with 3 linemen, 2 linebackers, or 4 linemen, 1 linebacker, and get pressure on Collaros, they can get to him rather than how Saskatchewan tried to get to him. So I think that's going to be their key. And somehow you got to stop Brady, but you also got to stop Kenny Lawler. Who's going to step up and who's going to take on Kenny Lawler? That's just the 1-2 thing right there. Winnipeg, they just got to play their game. Take care of the ball. Collaros is, after last year's Grey Cup where he didn't have a single touchdown, but threw for over was it over 200 yards?
It was like 276 or something like that.
276. He's got to throw for 3 and get at least 2 to 3 touchdowns. Because that Toronto defense with pressure on him, and he wants to scramble, he wants to step up the ladder, he's going to try and get a couple first downs, but you got to throw off their momentum and you got to get to him. Force him to throw them turn a couple interceptions. It's Toronto's. But Winnipeg, play your game. Nothing crazy.
Shane, what are your thoughts, buddy, on the Nick Arbuckle having to step up and start the quarterback?
07 repeat with Ryan Dinwiddie going in for Kevin Glenn. I mean, the only difference is like this isn't Arbuckle's first career start like it was for Dinwiddie in 07. So it is different. But I don't know. I think again, I never, no matter my personal feelings, where did everyone go? No matter my personal feelings regarding Kelly, you never want to see someone get hurt like that. But it's a crappy situation. I wish Arbuckle the best. I think Winnipeg takes the win if the offensive line can hold. That defensive front, that front 7 for Toronto is arguably the best in the league. And if they can get pressure on Collaros and put pressure on that run game, it should be Toronto's to win. I think Serezna is going to be the difference maker for Toronto, and Terrell Ford is going to be the difference maker for Winnipeg. I think it's going to be if he can get an interception or 2 and flip the field on Arbuckle, who's unfortunately prone to making some questionable throws. It's going to be interesting. You're muted.
First and foremost, the laptop was about to die, so that's where I went. I had to plug her in.
Plug over and everyone's gone. I'm like, oh, okay.
I'm kind of interested to see that Nick Arbuckle has a chance to really write a cool story, kind of maybe not ending, but guy was a free agent. Toronto basically signed him because of the Chad Kelly situation, wanting a veteran into that room with Cameron Dukes, a few young guys in there, Brian Scott as well. To have Nick Arbuckle, a CFL veteran, and obviously he bides his time. Chad Kelly comes back, and now he's thrust in this position, and I think he has an opportunity to win a Grey Cup, and I think that's the best part about football is that it's just there's no, the Bombers had a bad game 1, they can come back and win the series. If the Argos play the better team on that day, they're gonna be able to win, and I think having the team that is in front of them is going to give them an opportunity to win, but I don't think it's a shocker. The line is what it is for a reason. That I'm going to stay on the Bombers side, but I am pretty interested to see how this matchup's going to go. I think it will be a little bit more of I don't know if I want to say a high scoring matchup, but a little bit more of entertaining. I think people think with probably outside expectations coming in, they're expecting the Bombers to really walk away, but I expect the Argos to be a feisty team. We kind of saw a little bit of the recipe. Kadeem Carey, 12 carries, 92 yards last week. I think if they can really lean on him to, put them in manageable situations, Nick Arbuckle doesn't do anything to fuck things up, they'll be able to, hang around. And I think well, let's see. Maybe I'm just kind of trying to have some wishful thinking for this Grey Cup, and it's not a blowout by the halftime, and everybody's kind of just focused on the Jonas Brothers. But it'll be an interesting one, man. But Blake, if you're able to hear us or chime in, what are your thoughts on the quarterback situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason Cardinals in for one last week was not really their offense, with or without Cam Kelly. Like, it was the special teams and the defense. I believe I saw a stat that said they scored 21 of their 30 points. If they do that again, like, their defense can get even one score. Janarian Durant has a return touchdown. The Argos are going to be right in this game. As you said, Cole, it's the Grey Cup. Anything can happen. And I hope the Argos can close.
Yeah, well said. I think I picked up a little bit of that. I think you were kind of saying I know you added Janarian Grant. I forgive me that I should have added him, and his X factor ability of being able to kind of generate momentum for his team, or even flip a game on his head when he's able to, return some of these kicks. Defense as well. For me, where it comes down to, maybe we'll talk a little bit more about the Bombers, is I just think they're going to be ready to kind of make sure that they finish this thing on the right note. Zach Collaros kind of wanting to make sure that they're not 2-5. I think 3-5 sounds a lot sweeter than going there and only winning 2 times in half a decade, and wanting to kind of cement themselves in history as this maybe era's kind of dynasty, if you will. And I think they'll be very motivated to play at a high level. And unfortunately, I think for the Argos, they're a good team. I agree with Shane of them. Them two teams being the best teams, and that fact will give the Argos a chance to win this. I just think Winnipeg knows what to do when it's in the fourth quarter. These one-score games, they've been there before, and they just find ways to win one-score games. And it's not even if you're in a one-score game with them, they have you in that position for a reason to kind of lull you into a comfort zone a little bit, and then just kind of strike at the right time. And they always seem to make plays in the right time. We kind of seen it when they're having their season on the line after the 2-6 start, win some of these games that they had to win, and really perform well in the clutch. I think they will once again. But Shane, let's talk. What were you going to mention?
I was going to say, like, you have history on Toronto's side right now. They haven't lost in 7 straight Grey Cups.
7 straight, right?
Their last loss came at BC Place, and it's their first appearance at BC Place since the loss. So some history kind of going. I mean, Winnipeg's 1-1. I believe their last 2 appearances to BC Place in Grey Cup games. But, it's going to be interesting. I think, the fact that Toronto's won 7 straight Grey Cups should not be ignored. Clearly, that organization has proven that, when the games matter most, they're going to show up if they get there. So I think that's just a fun little tidbit of information. Don't really see that very often. So
yeah, no, for sure. I saw that stat come on my social media feed as well, and I think is an interesting one. It's gonna be it's gonna be a fun one. I'm excited for the matchup, although I know a lot of people are probably expecting a Bombers win by a lot of points. What are your guys' thoughts on how that offense is kind of clicking right now? Brady Oliveira over 100 yards. Kenny Lawler kind of reminding people of him being the best receiver in the CFL is for a reason. Zach Collaros winding the clock a little bit back, and 4 touchdowns to over 300 yards. Shane, what are your thoughts on them, and kind of what do you expect from them on Sunday?
Man, offensive line wins you championships.
Yeah.
I will say that till the day I die. Is that if you have a great offensive line, you'll win many championships. And I think with how that offensive line is playing, that running game is working well because of it. The passing game is getting help because the running game is working, and they're also keeping the pass rush off of them. So I think a lot of credit is deserved to that veteran offensive line for the turnaround this season, with the turnaround offensively, with the turnaround with Oliveira, who struggled early, even with Collaros. And then obviously Kenny Lawler's Kenny Lawler, and he should always be considered a top 5 active receiver. He should always be in the conversation. So we'll see what happens, but I think this is an offense that is destined to put up, 30 points this weekend, and walk away with their third Grey Cup in 5 years.
Yeah, and on the Coach Lapo film that they were breaking down the offense, they were running a lot of the same concept and absolutely toying with the defense on basically kind of an inside zone and then a play action off of it. And kind of that was, one of the big plays to Kenny, and that was also the touchdown to Nick Dembski later in the game. So
If
they're
you're
clicking at a
if
very
you're
high note. What was that?
if you're Buck Pierce, you need this win,
Yeah.
right? You've been the OC for a team that's gone to 3 straight Grey Cups, and you're 0-3. You didn't score a passing touchdown in one of them, you know. Yeah, I mean they're 0-2 now, but I'm saying that like if they were to lose, they'd be 0-3 if they were to lose. That's not real great if you're an OC.
Yeah.
So I think if you're Buck Pierce, everything is on the table. You're not holding back anything. I would not be shocked if they start pulling trick plays, uh, motions that, some reverses, some pitches, some double passes. Like if you're Buck Pierce, you have to lay everything on the line when it comes to play calling today or on Sunday, because if you are deciding to be a head coach and you're 0-3 as an OC and your offense isn't putting up points in the Grey Cup, that's going to reflect negatively on you as an OC.
Yeah, Coach, I know you mentioned a little bit about the offense, the Bombers' offense, and Kenny and Zach, but what are your thoughts after seeing them and Brady even chipping in for the 120 last week? And what do you expect from them on Sunday?
It's gonna take more, I think, from them, because the weapons around them are still raw as far as offensive. Like, obviously not Nick Dembski, but Wilson and all the other young guys, man, the lights is on. It's a different light when you win the Grey Cup. So can you move the ball around a little bit? Can you move Kenny around? There's some couple things that I've noticed with them that they could attack Toronto's defense, where they can move Brady out into the slot and then bring him back and then run play action and get the ball to Dembski. There's some things that they can do. They're going to pull all the tricks out if it's Buck Pierce, and I agree with Shane on that.
Yeah, so I thought we'd do maybe a little bit more of an interesting one for picks this week and maybe include a final score prediction as well. Shane, you comfortable with going first, buddy?
Yeah.
What do you got?
I mean, overall, I got Edmonton. I think it's going to be like a 33-23 game. I think they cover the spread. I think at the end of the day, they'll cover the spread, which is what, 10.5.
Yeah.
Obviously, anything can happen in a Grey Cup, but I got I have Winnipeg at putting up 30 plus points and covering the spread, which you don't see very often. But with Nick Arbuckle at center, he has a tendency of bad throws. I think if that's the case, Winnipeg's defense can make him bite. Janarian Grant should have a big game against his former team. They can limit that, but I don't know. I feel like Terrell Ford is gonna show that he's a top 3 or top 4 safety in the league, and that offense, Brady Oliveira is gonna show that he deserves the MOP candidate or MOP award, because I don't think he's going to win it, and I think that's going to be motivated enough for him to win the most outstanding Canadian and the Grey Cup MVP award. It's going
Yeah,
to
for sure.
pull
So
him Mwamba.
I can write you down 33-23. Everyone go with?
33-22. Cover the spread.
Okay. All right. Coach, who you got? Final score.
I got Winnipeg winning 40-6.
40-6, Coach says.
Bro, don't give us that bad of a Grey Cup.
No,
He's
I'm being dead ass. Like, I as much as I like that Toronto defense, the way I'm seeing that offense clicking and efficiency and how efficient they were moving down the field, boy, it might be a long day for that secondary.
Man, at least have it close in the first half. Make the second half interesting. If it's like 20-3 or like 20+3 in the first half, that's gonna make that's gonna be such a buzzkill.
They're gonna make the Jonas. Hey, the Jonas Brothers is gonna be the highlight.
Oh boy.
That's not. I mean, that's pretty hard to do. So,
Well, I can't name one Jonas Brothers song, so I'll
same.
be in the tunnel.
I know a Nick Jonas Brothers song.
Yeah.
But I can't name a Jonas Brothers song.
I can't either, but I'm sure there is going to be a radio hit or two that I'm familiar with. But the good old radio hits, man. Blake,
Radio Disney.
if you're able to hear us, buddy, we need a final score and who you got.
Well, I already lost the picks this year to you, thanks to my piss poor playoff performance. So I might as well go with a bang. Let's go.
All right. I believe we're gonna have to get Blake. We're kind of having trouble hearing you, buddy.
It's very busy over there.
I think it's probably just his connection more so than anything. But Blake, maybe just put it in the chat, buddy, and then I'll give mine here first. So I'm gonna go 34-21 Winnipeg winning, covering the spread. I believe that's 14.1, 13.1. I just think Winnipeg is kind of going to feel this sense of urgency of wanting to not let this opportunity slip from them and kind of make sure they're talked amongst, great, like I don't know if greats, but as a dynasty, as we kind of talked about, even if they lose, are they still considered a dynasty? I don't necessarily agree,
No,
but going to 5 is still an impressive feat. But
yeah,
losing this, I think, just adds a black eye and kind of stains their legacy a little bit to me.
Well, yeah, I mean, everyone talks about Calvillo and how like he's arguably the greatest quarterback in CFL history because he owns a majority of stats. But people forget that like up until the 2009-2010 season, he was 1-5 in Grey Cups, including 3 straight losses.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's forgotten for sure.
Like I think that's like one thing in the Caleros and like this Winnipeg debate is like, yeah, Montreal was great. Montreal dominated the East and was a powerhouse for most of Calvillo's tenure in Montreal. But like when push came to shove, he's the LeBron of the CFL. 3-5 in the finals. Puts up great numbers. Gonna lead. He leads the league in most quarterback stats. He's 3-5 in the finals. He is basically the CFL version of LeBron James.
Blake has put it in the chat. He is going to jump. I think that's not a surprise, actually, because we knew this, but he is jumping on the Argos bandwagon. He is going to go against the rest of us. He has Toronto winning 27-24. A walk-off field goal, perhaps? Wouldn't that be something?
Is that only because playing?
I don't think this is necessarily a surprise, as you see the smile on Blake's pretty face. He has been, as he mentioned, Bombers hater numero uno since the beginning of this season. This man had the Bombers' grave carved out, etched in stone that these guys were dead.
He is so
they're in the freaking Grey Cup. I cannot believe it either. But I'm not surprised Blake is going with the Argos. I would imagine he will probably be louder than most Argos fans on Sunday night to cheer on the Argos to victory. But that also means he could be on the other side of the Leaf if they lose, especially by maybe coach's prediction. Could be a long night for Blake having to hear those Bomber fans in BC Place. But Coach, we have a prediction. We have a final score. I'll let you go get back to maybe your Uber driving around. Kids are going to pick them up, whatever you're up to. Excited to see you in a few days, but what do you got going on for the people this weekend? Obviously, I'm not sure we're going to be able to post right away, but you got all the stuff that you're looking forward to recording and whatnot. But obviously, we'll be doing a little bit of recording as well for the channel. What can the people expect from you? Maybe come up and say hi if they see a Grey Cup?
Come up to me, say hi, but if you talk crazy, I'm gonna put these hands on you.
I'm
No,
gonna put these paws on you.
just put these paws on you, dog. No, no, but I'm gonna do my Grey Cup little prediction, but also break down both sides like I did last year and have some fun with it, and we're gonna have a good time, brother. We're gonna have a good time. It's good, excited to see you both, all three of y'all.
Awesome. I'm
It's
looking
gonna be a
forward to
great
it as
time.
well. Looking
Yes,
forward
sir.
to it as well, Coach. This won't be the last. We will do one maybe reaction recap episode next week, Coach. But thank you for joining us all year. And as I said, safe travels out here. We'll see you on Friday.
See you on Friday, guys.
All right, that was Coach Phil. Coach Phil reacts. Shane, buddy, excited to get you out west and show you Vancouver, show you BC. But you excited?
Oh man, you have no idea. I'm stoked. I've always wanted to go out west, so on top of that, like just going for Grey Cup is going to be great.
Is this the far? Is this the farthest out west?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really left outside. Like, I've never been west of Ontario. The furthest I've ever been is Quebec City.
Fair.
So, um, not much, not wanting to travel much. First time on a plane, so it's gonna be fun.
What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I'm glad it's a direct flight.
Yeah,
I would not be able to deal with a layover, so I know we're getting there early. But I'm glad there's no layover at least going there. I'm more worried, and like the reason why we're going early is to like we don't have to, if it is delayed, if there's any like thing that pops up, like we're not going to be strolling into Vancouver at like 9 p.m.
right.
But yeah, it should be fun. I'm excited. Uh, you know, you guys get to see you guys obviously, and get to experience being out west. It should be fun.
Yeah, man. Wish the weather was a little bit nicer for you guys.
Yeah, is
I
Vancouver's
know
weather not as bipolar as Ottawa's? Because like,
I would just recommend a umbrella. That's all I'm gonna say.
yeah, because like Ottawa's weather is very it will never make up its mind. You'll wake up in the morning, it'll be like -10, and then by the time you leave in the afternoon, it's +20.
Yeah,
Uh,
see, BC's similar, but it's more like it's raining when you go to work, and then it's like sunny by the time it's lunch, and then it's like hailing afterwards. It's not really like the like minus negative, like it's not the temperatures. It's more so like the like you don't know what's gonna come out of the sky or if the clouds are gonna part, the sun's gonna come out, that kind of thing.
that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I know. I'm excited for it. I'm being off work. I'm excited to be away from work for
No
6 days.
freaking doubt. No freaking doubt to that, buddy. I got one more half day tomorrow. I'm working till my lunch break, and I am freaking out of there for 4 days. And it's gonna be I can't wait to see Blake and kick in the weekend mode. That's for sure. But Shane, as always, buddy, thanks for joining us Wednesday night. We'll do one more next weekend, and that'll be a season, man. I can't believe it. And
Yeah, and
then
then we're
all the
on
off-season stuff. I already see you're hard at work for us and getting together all the free agency and whatnot. So I
yep.
appreciate you for that. It helps us out a ton. But safe travels, buddy, and we'll see you on Friday.
Yeah, guys, I'm excited. Safe travels for you guys. I know you guys are traveling a little bit. I think Blake's already there. He's already enjoying himself.
He is.
So yeah, we'll see you Friday.
Awesome, buddy. Take care. That was wrong person. That's hilarious. I've never done that before. That's too good. That was Shane Ryan of 13th Man Sports. That is absolutely too good. I took out Blake and brought back in Shane. Blake, if you're able to hear me, buddy, you're looking pristine. You're looking that iPhone 16. The camera quality,
No, it's not. It's like the
fabulous.
14th.
How you doing, buddy?
You doing good? Yeah, it was a good show as always. Can you hear me at all, Cole?
A little bit. You're just more quiet, more so than anything. But I can kind of hear you.
Yeah, just very quickly.
There we go.
I know that you want to get out of here, and I kind of want to get out of here too. No disrespect to you, but very quickly, I guess you and I should give our props to the national champion St. Clair Saints.
No doubt. Eat. Well, I think we were, maybe not haters, but definitely written them off for sure. I think is fair to say, and I think not alone in that, and have to give them their props for that. Really good, I think, for CGFL football, number one, and then I think number two, Blake, is it's great for the OFC. I know our friend Mackenzie was very vocal on that, and I know he's a former OFC. I believe he played for the Quinton Seahawks. What was very excited that OFC team won for the first time since 1999. 20 plus years it's been. So I think it's phenomenal for them, and it's so hard for them as a conference to compete when there's the OUA, which the OUA conference has, I think, 8 to 10 teams, if I'm not mistaken, in just the province of Ontario alone. It's really hard to compete with those other universities that are offering school, offering, stuff like that, where, a junior program is probably, an uphill battle against some of those, those programs, even just financially with some of what, universities are able to do versus a junior program. So I give them credit. They've done a phenomenal job, and just salute to them. They definitely deserve all their kudos and credit for winning the Canadian Bowl 2024. Lastly, Blake, I would be actually remiss if we didn't mention it, but shout out to the Regina Rams as well, buddy. A team that has definitely been keeping their receipts all year long of everybody writing them off. They started the year off very hot, 2-0. And I think a lot of people were, wanting to wait and see, kind of a little bit of unsure, wanting to, dip their toe in the Regina Rams water, not wanting to fully believe. And then they go on a 5-game losing streak. And it's kind of like, they are kind of who we thought they were. They win the final game of the year to get into the playoffs, and then they go on a Cinderella story, knock off the Manitoba Bisons 2 weeks ago. The Brian Dobie farewell tour ended on the hands of the Regina Rams, and then they go and beat the big brother that has been for how many plus years in the Saskatchewan Huskies. They show them, what, we're the big dogs on the block this year, and you're going to get off our porch. And shout out to them, man. I know there's a few guys, Jackson Sombach obviously came on the podcast that were very quick to be vocal, and rightfully so. Like I have no hard feelings if they kind of want to, remind us of who we picked and whatnot and stuff like that, of cashing in those receipts, because I know that if I was in those exact same shoes, I would be doing the exact same thing. So Regina Rams, man, salute to you guys. Go bring it home. Go take care of business in the UTEC Bowl this week against Laval, and then go punch your ticket to the national championship. And who knows what can happen. Back-to-back years seeing a Canada West team being represented in the Vanier Cup would be phenomenal. I saw that we had a comment in the Instagram chat here quickly, Blake, before we get out of here from I don't know if I can find him. I can't. But he was mentioning our Vanier pick. I think that'll be a thing we save for next week when it actually is happening. We still have yet to know who's playing in the game. So we'll wait for that, and then we will make it. But Blake, that'll do it for another show, buddy. Grey Cup edition of the weekly show. I'll be there in about 12 or so hours, or probably a little bit more than actually, about 15 or so hours. Really looking forward to it, buddy. Only thing that separates me from vacation mode is about a half day of work tomorrow. Clocking out at about noon. Come home, shower, pack my bag, get on the ferry around 3 o'clock. Should be in Vancouver. Literally, the Hulu is going to drop me off at the convention center. Basically, don't have to go anywhere. Super excited. Like I said, folks, you're looking for me tomorrow around 4:30, 5 o'clock. I'm gonna. Oh, actually, I don't know. I think that actually Zipline closes before that, so hopefully I get there in time.
No, it doesn't. The zip line doesn't close till 9 tomorrow.
All right, we're in. I'll tell you what, Blake, that is the first place I'm going, buddy. I don't care how big the line is. I don't care how long I gotta wait. I'm going there so I can check that off the bucket list right away, so I don't have to wait or pay. I believe it's pay money. Is it Friday to Sunday? It's free the whole weekend. That's crazy. How cool is that? Can't wait to go do that and experience that. And I also can't wait to do a bunch of content with you, buddy. I'm going to buy a microphone for us after this. I'm going to be bringing the camera over so we can hopefully shoot a video of all with all four of us. And then obviously you and I will be doing a ton of content. We'll be doing some start bench cut stuff, some blind rankings like we were doing at Touchdown Pacific. We have some more Grey Cup theme stuff and stuff like that. So looking forward to that. I also have some little backup mics for Blake. so that if I'm not with Blake, Blake can do some sort of content on his own and kind of, implement whatever he thinks that maybe is that the people would like to see and stuff like that. So if you don't only see me, but you see Blake, go up to him, ask him that you want to be in some videos, and Blake can, film on his phone as well. So looking forward to that. Blake, I will see you tomorrow, buddy. Until then, stay tuned to the platform. Canadian Football Fanatics on YouTube. We are at _CF Fanatics on Twitter and at Canadian Football Fanatics on Instagram. Stay tuned to all of our social media platforms throughout the weekend. There will be a ton of content coming to your feeds this weekend, Grey Cup weekend. Excited for it, folks. Hopefully see you guys there, and enjoy the weekend. We will see you guys next week.